Helldivers 2 is a game. A game where you can do this. Jump off cliffs and blow a lot of things up in a very short amount of time.
Objective complete.
Dropship!
It's not all it is, though. Well, it is undoubtedly very funny at times, frustrating at others, and an action movie all the time.
Objective critical stratagem available. Automaton facility destroyed.
It is also one of the best, if not the best, in PvE horde shooters since Left 4 Dead. Let me tell you why. Standing at the core of Helldivers 2's massive success is, of course, its exhilarating and engaging gameplay loop. Though on the surface it may seem to be a standard run-of-the-mill extraction shooter, it has a few tricks up its sleeve to prove otherwise. First and foremost, it is absurdly high octane. At the apex of its difficulty scale, Super Helldive, there is a lot going on screen. So much so that my poor CPU struggles to keep up with the absolute tidal wave of enemies running around and shooting at me all at once. If frames win games, brother, I am losing. The amount of explosions, gunfire, particle effects, and overall chaos happening on screen at any given moment would be enough to drive an epileptic into an instant seizure. Part of what makes this gameplay loop so engaging is the all-important stratagem system. On top of having traditional primary sidearm grenade loadouts found on any modern or future warrior, at the disposal of the Helldivers is the Super Destroyer, a mighty orbital support asset of the Super Earth Navy, capable of providing heavy orbital fire support, close air support, reinforcements, and supplies, just to name a few, for as long as it can remain in low orbit. The Super Destroyer and its mission timer is the essence of Helldivers 2's gameplay. More on the clock later. For now, let's discuss the catch. While the Super Destroyer is capable of providing a variety of DDR combos for you to input for the distribution of democracy, you, as a singular Helldiver, are only allowed to pick 4 to bring with you for an entire mission. Choose carefully. Plan ahead, keep an eye on the cooldowns, and coordinate with your squad mates to ensure you're able to handle the most likely threats and accomplish the mission.
Allied destroyer joining squadron.
Here's where the mission timer comes into play. The moment you make landfall, the clock is ticking. For most mission types, you have 40 minutes to get in, wreak havoc, and get out. For some, you have as little as 12. You'd better double time it, Helldiver. Once that timer runs out, the Super Destroyer leaves low orbit, and an emergency extraction shuttle is sent your way. When that happens, you lose access to all of your stratagems until you get off that planet. I hope you stocked up on stims, because if you die during these crucial minutes, you're out. If the whole squad dies, the mission ends. Failure is an option, and it happens to the best of us sometimes. Timer aside, the stratagem catch leads us into our next point. Helldivers 2 is a game that caters to a variety of playstyles in multiple ways. Chief among this is that unlike older 4-player squad shooters, such as the aforementioned keystone of the genre, Left 4 Dead, Helldivers 2 has a player fighting their choice of 3 enemy factions: the Terminids, the Automatons, and the Illuminate. If you watched Starship Troopers a billion times as a kid and understand that the only good bug is a dead bug, then the Terminids are the faction for you. Very few of these insectoid aliens can engage a player at any sort of range, but they make up for this with immense speed, absurd numbers, and the ability to turn literally invisible. Barring super heavies like the Bile Titan. And the Impaler.
Requesting air support.
And let's not forget the absolute horde of chargers at high difficulties.
It's on the way. ETA minus 30 seconds. ETA minus 20 seconds. Minus 10 seconds.
Terminate enemies are often equipped with, at most, medium armor, and rely on mass assaults to take down you, the noble and democratic Helldiver. Speed and defensive play are your friends. Weapons with any kind of stagger or stun effect, standouts being weapons like the Cookout, Blitzer, Pummeler, or Liberator Concussive, are your best friend. Beat them back and give yourself breathing room. But also remember to bring an anti-tank for the big guys. Whatever you bring, try to limit the use of any weapons with stationary reload. If that's not your speed, and you want to feel like you're fighting the worst version of a battle from Star Wars, or just World War III, then meet your new best enemy, the Automatons. These guys are my personal favorite faction, and they play much slower than the Terminid Horde. They spawn in comparatively few numbers, but there are a few major difference makers with the Automatons. They're smart, they're heavily armored, and they shoot back with impunity. This faction, I believe, is as close as Super Earth comes to fighting an equal on the galactic stage. These guys fight from deliberate, well-crafted, and insanely fortified defensive positions. Most enemies and static gun emplacements bear at least medium armor, and heavy enemies are far more numerous than they are when fighting any other faction. As a matter of fact, the ace up the Automaton sleeves is twofold. First of all, they have the Factory Strider and the Factory Strider Convoy, which is about as close as this game comes to a boss-type encounter.
Calling down supply.
And they have the ability to disrupt and impede player action through the use of deliberate structures such as the dreaded Stratagem Jammer, supremely annoying detector tower, and the eagle hunting anti-aircraft emplacement. For the Automatons, the best defense is an unrelenting offense. Don't stop, move from cover to cover, and bring your heaviest firepower. You're gonna need it. The more you shoot at them, the less accurate they are shooting back. If you're a fan of H.G. Wells and want to fight a cosmic horror beyond human comprehension, or you played Black Ops Zombies back in the day, then the Illuminate is the enemy for you. The best way I can describe the Illuminate is to compare them to a mixture of the Flood and the Covenant from Halo. The Illuminate, when compared to the other two factions, is lacking in enemy variety, but they blend the other two factions' strengths together in a manner that makes them their own challenge. They attack with both massive waves of melee-based fodder and heavy-ranged firepower. Physically, the Illuminate do not bring much armor to the table, but they do have a few tricks. Some Illuminate assets, including both berthed and active warships, as well as the formidable Harvester, are equipped with regenerating energy shields. Without even mentioning the Lovecraftian flesh mob, this makes the majority of their heaviest firepower quite bullet spongy, but the most armor penetration you're going to need is medium. Even and especially on their air support asset, the Stingray. Their lack of armor makes unlikely heroes of whatever weapons can vomit the most bullets or low-grade explosions, i.e. things like the Knight, Liberator Carbine, Double-Edged Sickle, and Eruptor, Sentries, and the good old standard issue MG43 machine gun, as well as its 1,150 RPM little brother, the M105 Stalwart. They also come equipped with one major means of player disruption, the Cognitive Disruptor. This structure adds an effect to the edges of your screen and scrambles your stratagem codes. Look before you leap, your muscle memory won't help you here. That said, go forth and expend as much ammunition as you can lay your hands on. Now that the meat and potatoes are out of the way, let's talk about the other, more behind-the-scenes stuff that makes this game such a riot.
Young bucks always think they're invincible. And while they are mostly right, the fact of the matter is that Helldivers with broken arms cannot aim. Helldivers with broken legs cannot run. And Helldivers with serious injuries to their vital organs will bleed out before they can say, "Death to my enemies."
We're going to open this section by talking about the universe itself. Now, I mentioned Starship Troopers at the beginning of this video when talking about the Terminids, and I should iterate that what I mean by that is the 1997 film adaptation, not the book. The material is quite different between the two. And that wasn't just because of the bugs. You'll notice throughout your time, both in mission and out, the citizens of Super Earth seem to worship the ideas of freedom and managed democracy as though they are the gods of this universe.
I am but a conduit for the Ministry of Truth, which is itself but a conduit for managed democracy.
But it's made pretty evident throughout various tongue-in-cheek jokes or just outright telling you that this managed democracy is actually a fascist authoritarian regime using the guise of democracy to retain the favor of its people.
All signs of dissidence to your local loyalty officer. Remember, heroes report, cowards stay silent.
I'm going to assume everyone watching this is an adult, and I don't need to spell it out for you any further, so it's not subtle at all. So I'm just going to roll some clips so you can enjoy the humor of the most obvious but undoubtedly funny satire in gaming history.
Not a scourge to be cleansed. Liberty demands our temperance. We will never forget those who fell in the defense of Malevolent Creek.
Thousands of freedom-loving citizens were killed in the mines of Cyberstan. Don't let their deaths be in vain. Buy war bonds today.
When all is quiet, listen for the Super Earth anthem. Hear it in your heart. Sing it with your mouth. Belt it from your diaphragm for all the galaxy to hear.
More on the gameplay side of things, Helldivers 2 plays like a giant game of Dungeons & Dragons, set at a table for 200,000. The community receives major orders to defend or assault various planets for various reasons, either to save children or moderately feeble young adults, such as the saga of the ever-subjugated Vernon Wells, or for strategic reasons, such as the months-long campaign to build the infamous Democracy Space Station, the Termicide campaign, Swift Disassembly, where the bots were literally banished from the galaxy for almost an entire day, or the even more infamous destruction of Meridia, which is what caused the Illuminati to show up in the first place and also started a chain reaction that allowed them to invade Super Earth back in May, destroying entirely or glassing the surface of multiple planets as they essentially launched the Meridian Singularity toward Earth. The third reason we fight for planets is for the purpose of morale. And let me tell you a little story. Back when the game first launched, there was a particular planet on the Western Front, A
Each
forest
one you
world
complete is a
bathed in
paving
eternal
stone
blue
on the
twilight
road to
that the
liberty.
Helldivers fought for half a year to secure. It was a tug of war of unrivaled proportions. I am speaking, of course, of the now infamous Malevelon Creek. This was a planet so ferociously assaulted that when it was eventually liberated, all Helldivers whose accounts were active on or before that day received the commemorative cape to mark the occasion. It was the subject of post after post, joke after joke. It gained the moniker Space Vietnam. And this is all for one planet. We're not done with this place yet, though. There's more. Almost a year after its liberation at the hands of the Helldivers, Arrowhead responded in kind. The automatons mounted an absurdly large assault to take back the planet held not so dearly in the hearts of all Helldivers, for no other reason than they wanted to spit in our faces. One sector away from the creek, there was a planet called Publi the Ninth, a desert world that could directly access Malevelon Creek if allowed to fall. So the automatons launched
Liberty calls for
everything
aid across the
at this
galaxy.
planet.
Only you
The
can
Jet
decide where
Brigade,
to
the
answer.
Incineration Corps, supply shortages, stratagem restrictions, everything. Trying to get the bots back on the creek. But eventually, despite all odds, the Helldivers succeeded, and Malevelon Creek was saved. That's the beauty of this game. The community drives the story. And sometimes, the community is capable of insane things. The developers don't script major orders per se. They write an event with multiple outcomes branching to several possible subsequent events depending on success or failure. And it's up to us as players to decide how the story goes. It's like the world's largest choose-your-own-adventure book. This is one of the most unique ways to run a live service title I've ever seen. It genuinely feels like a large-scale strategic conflict on multiple fronts. This model needs to be studied. It is endlessly engaging and has bred a fantastic and flourishing community that's only getting bigger. When I first started this video, I focused more on the silly aspects of this game, which are numerous and enjoyable, certainly. Although, some more than others, I really hate ragdolling sometimes. Silly, though, is far from an accurate way to describe this game in its entirety. The universe itself is inherently humorous, yes, but the gameplay and story are so well crafted and intertwined that it makes a player legitimately feel as though every mission they embark on serves a greater purpose than just for the fun of it. I didn't even talk about the weaponry earlier, but I just want to briefly say now that this game has some of the best and most satisfying firearms in any game I've ever played. Just take a listen to this.
Objective complete.
Found something!
I don't say this lightly. Helldivers 2 is one of my favorite games of all time, and certainly the best cooperative shooter I've played in recent memory. A bold claim, I know, but I believe this game stands strong enough to defend that claim. Just as strong as the Helldivers stand to defend managed democracy. Hey, thanks for watching. Bonus points to you if you actually watched this video all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it. I don't mean to sound pushy, but if you enjoyed this content and would like to see a little more like it, feel free to subscribe. Stick around. It'll help me do this a little more often. This has been Skybuprofen, and I'll see you all next time.